Okay, can everybody see each other?
Yep, I can see you guys.
Okay. Stop, everybody. I'm done giving out products, so I got a break. I can do my, you know what I'm saying, my propaganda film and make people feel good. All right. Another edition of Mile High Masterminds, the authority on the Denver Broncos, the channel that all Bronco fans love to hate because we don't lie. So I understand that there's a celebration going on still. A lot of propaganda going on out there. The spin propellers have gone off the spin cycle machine. It's pretty wild out there with they're already in the playoffs. What I heard, right? Is that it? They're in the playoffs already. Joe Burrow went down.
They're winning out. That's what I'm hearing. They're going to win.
Never mind. They got an opponent tonight. And so what we can recap. We all watched the All 22. And with all nonsense aside, I guess we can first review what we had seen. For me, after watching the All 22, it all reminded me of a Monty Python skit. I was telling you guys about that, where, the coach comes in and says, okay, guys, gear up. And they're, taping the offense is offensive players are duct taping their leg behind their back, their arm behind their back. And they hop out there on one foot, one arm waving around. And then naturally the other team wins. And then the other team acts like they just won the Super Bowl, uncorking in the locker room. I after watching this, I'm going to talk about the good stuff too. I primarily keyed for myself. I keyed on the Denver defense, and there was a whole lot of bad there. And I'd be concerned about playoff runs. My position is I think the team, if they were to do things smart, is still 3 years off of, putting something together if they were to do it smart. I'm just saying. But if the Bills weren't, the Bills defense is obviously probably also should have got a bad grade as well. But offensively, I do believe if the Bills would have came out and just played their normal football, even making some mistakes, I think they would have won that game. But that's not going to get discussed. After watching the All 22, it was the mistakes were definitely Bills generated. Just like Cortland Sutton. Let me give this example really quick. Cortland Sutton fumbles the ball. The Bills defense had no part of that. That was all on Cortland Sutton. The same on their side of the field. It just was a bad game. I mean, but except I will say the Denver Broncos offense didn't make mistakes. Sean Payton didn't get in his own way. And, that I will tip the hat to the Denver Broncos. But they're going to be playing a team coming in that I didn't see any mistakes at all by that team. But I'll shut up. You guys go ahead and get us caught up on what's going on here.
Yeah, well, apparently the Broncos are going to the playoffs. They're now, their schedule is easy. Well, what I said in my schedule prediction this year was, if everything bounces this team's way and everything, works out perfectly for them, at best they're a 7-8, an 8-9, maybe a 9-8 team at best.
Well, that's what the fans want. The fans want mediocrity.
And even if they go 9-8, make the playoffs, get bounced out, to me that's not a successful season, because you probably had a lot of help on the way. You probably had a lot of things go your way along the way. This year's a way where, everything's bouncing their way. You have, whether it's the referees being on their side, whether it is the, blatant missed holding, the blatant missed pass interferences on interceptions by Patrick Surtain, whether it's the team's opposing starting quarterback getting injured like they did against the Jets, like the Vikings. Then next week you have the Browns, who also just lost Deshaun Watson. Even though I don't think they're going to win that game still, but there's a lot of things circumstantially this year that are going their way at the perfect time. Whether it's the Bills having 12 guys on the field, whether it's the Chiefs coughing up the ball 5 times, the Bills coughing up the ball 5 times. This is the storm where everything's just going their way, and they could win maybe 7 games. But are you guys really going to be happy about that? Are you guys going to be really happy about that? Because you had help to get into the playoffs, and you're going to lose in the first round anyway. Because when push,
I'm not putting him in the playoffs. But go ahead.
We'll say if, right? We'll just entertain.
Hypothetically.
Yeah, we'll say hypothetically, everything goes your way, and you happen to sneak in that 7th wild card, which I don't see is possible. You have the AFC North right now that's very stacked. That's probably going to be taking up a lot of the playoff picture. You have maybe the Chargers, and don't forget about the Raiders, who are playing football lately in your own division. You're still cellar dwelling in the division right now. So,
well, hey, I think uncork the champagne. Let's have a celebration.
Yeah, I mean, they can celebrate, but at the end of the day, you have a Vikings team coming in. That's a shoe-in win for the Bronco fans, apparently. So this is gonna not go well. I mean, like you said in your last video, it all depends on how many 5+ turnover games by the opposition you have left in the tank. It all depends on how many bad PI calls in a key situation of the game right after the opposing defense made a great play. Do you have left in the tank? How many 12 guys on the field on a game-losing field goal do you have in the tank? How many, dropping the ball through the hands do you have left in the tank? That it all depends on that, because what I watched was teams beat themselves. A lot of luck for the Broncos, balls bouncing their way, and that's not going to last forever. I mean, any team that plays and the other team's giving the ball away 5 times a game is going to win. So the Broncos are the team who almost found a way to lose that game with that turnover differential. And it only took 12 guys on the field by the Bills to change that. So
that is so incredible. And then you go in your locker room and celebrate. It's just, that's where this organization is right now.
Well, I'll put it this way. When the Broncos were playing winning football with Peyton Manning and they won a game that way, I would have been very, very concerned. I mean, it's just like when they played Dallas that year and it was a 51-48 game. I was I wasn't happy about that. I was very concerned about that defense. So I'm not going to be happy about, winning in that fashion. I mean, you should have lost that game if it wasn't for the Bills not being able to count on their coaching staff. So,
well, I'll do you one up. I'll go back to the 70s. If the old 70s Denver Broncos played like that, the defense would have never played like that, first of all. But if it would have, took a 15-man on the field screw up, they would have been pissed off at themselves for the way they played. At least defensively, they definitely would have been pissed off. So yeah, you don't. Yeah.
If I was the coach,
I want to, before I'm going to let Bucket Man here chime in, but when we get all done, I want to talk about what this really means moving forward. But Bucket Man, hit it.
Well, I just don't think anybody watches the All-22 film. I mean,
not in Bronco country, they don't.
No, they're a bunch of hopium drinking, gang banging, drug dealing, yeah, exactly.
Opium.
Yeah, hopium, yeah, drug dealing individuals we have now these days. I mean, these people actually call themselves fans. I mean, that's what you are. You're just fans. I mean, that's all you should be, and that's all you need to stay.
Well, I don't think what we're doing, we really cater to that group.
No, exactly. But
they can have the PR spin cycle and whatever.
Yeah, it is what it is. But the Denver Broncos supposedly caused those turnovers outside of the McMillan play. I mean, come on, seriously. I mean, right there, you're just trying to come up with something just to make yourself feel good at this
Well,
point.
and let me ask them this: Did the Bills cause Cortland Sutton's
No,
turnover? Of course they did. No, that was all on Cortland Sutton. Just like it was,
yeah,
yes.
exactly.
Just like it was all on Josh Allen.
Exactly. You
And
know, what I find really funny is that the Broncos are celebrating in the locker room after the Bills game when they almost lost that game when they were winning the turnover battle. You know, that is just mind-boggling to me.
it's pathetic.
How can you sit there and run your mouth and you're still below 500? Seriously. I mean,
Well,
my God. Huh?
This is my take really quick on that celebration. That you couldn't have that celebration unless you invited Josh Allen to it. You should have brought him in and gave him a bottle of champagne.
Yes.
The referee for calling that bogus pass interference call that I really want to get into that, but it's beyond the Broncos. It just, you should have called the referee in, got the referee a drink, and gave him some champagne. But yeah, you can't just celebrate by yourself. You got help. Okay, go ahead.
God, man, I did an hour-long film breakdown, and they gave Mike McGlinchey a 79.1 Pro Football Focus grade, and I'm watching the guy. I know, Bubble Man. I know it's insane.
Hey, stats don't lie, Bucket Man. What do you mean?
I mean, my God, my hour film breakdown. Oh my God, that was just all cherry-picked plays and highlight reels and that. I mean, my God, there wasn't anything in there that wasn't the all-22 film. It was just cherry-picking plays, and I don't know the game of football. This isn't it just blows my mind. It just really blows my mind that people are like, yeah, but we should have saw this. We should have expected it. We should have expected this. And it's just really funny. I just sit there and just laugh because these people are so fucking stupid. They're so stupid.
How many pressures did he give up this week? How many, what are the fucking, I'm going to look up Pro Football Focus right now, actually, just to hear the dumb shit that they put on there.
Well, my take on Pro Football Focus is that they're a PR machine. They have nothing to do with football, and that player agents and front offices pay them to put out bogus information because it contradicts what you're seeing on in some cases. There's other players that's self-evident they're good, and like let's say Justin Jefferson that Surtain's going to lock down, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
is it really hard to say that he's a good player?
How can you sit there and say that Surtain's going to lock him down when Surtain's getting owned by players like a Justin Jefferson that are elite route runners?
No, we'll get into that. I'm just making a point about.
I just wanted to bring up this other point. Derek Wolf was on 104.3 The Fan, and he was talking about Pro Football Focus, and he said, "Man, I was getting all this pressure up the interior, and they still gave me a bad grade."
Yeah, no, it's
like they don't give a shit about that.
Yeah, it's not about reality. It in no way is about reality whatsoever. If you want a good grade, you have to pay for that good grade. They're a pay to play. They're a pay to play outfit. Okay, did you have anything else?
At this point, I'm just not. At this point, I'm not surprised about the reactions that people are speaking out.
Okay, this is about reactions. Okay, who care? I personally, I don't care what the noise out there is, but this is, I think this is this kind of nonsense that fell in their lap. The quarterbacks going down, the bad play, the last two games they struggled against Green Bay because they didn't make mistakes, but this. I'm looking at a bigger picture here. This is more like a short-term gain for me and a long-term loss. This is just from watching the all-22 so far, my assessment of the Denver Broncos, an unbiased, honestly unbiased, is that they really, that defense is absolutely a liability. And what would really help the Denver Broncos as an organization is to get rid of the scouts that from that 8 years. I would like, this is just a hypothetical situation, just where moving forward. If they were, in my opinion, they are no way, and I think you could agree, they're no way playoff contending team. They're right there. You don't see them as a serious.
Yeah, I do. I see them as a playoff contender
Against teams that don't make mistakes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm drinking the hopium right now. You know.
Okay. I'm just talking. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
Yeah, if the other team turns the ball over 5 times a game, they could go 18-0.
Yeah. 18-0. Okay. But what I'm getting at is, as a fan, I don't want a team like we were just saying. I don't want a team that needs all these breaks, needs the ref to bail my quarterback out for throwing a bad throw. I want a quarterback that can throw it in stride. No need for refs. That's just me. I want a quality product. Okay. As an owner, that's what I would want. So, but anyway, I think what this team, if they could get rid of Vance Joseph, yes, I said fans will be clamoring for that, but honestly, they should. Nothing personal against Vance Joseph. I just don't like the soft zones. I would love it if they could get a guy from the Ravens to come in who's ready for a head coaching position, but none of that'll ever can happen until those people in the front office, those scouts, are removed. So you can bring in people that offensively fit Sean Payton is what he's looking for. And defensively, if you get a really good defensive coach coming in and get this defense taken care of. But with this hype machine, this PR machine, putting all this nonsense out there, you're going to have the ownership has to just ignore that stuff. And they're going to have to actually look at what they have through a clear lens, not a BS PR lens. And because I just don't see that this team will amount to anything other than, like we were talking, Jeff Fisher, at best, your best is 9 and 8. And you got that one and done playoffs. Our Saints source, he's already beside himself with what's going on there. He says they'll probably make the playoffs. He said we'll back into it and get eliminated. Well, there you go. It was a success, right? And he said, this is just not good stuff. And that's the way I see if they even get in there, it would be because, like you said, this happened.
What really blows my mind is, people saying that Rob Walton's on the level of Pat Bowlen. That is just a slap in the face, man. That's the shit that pisses me off. I know. I'm sorry.
How? Where is he?
Exactly. What? You sit there. Well, our owners are committed to winning. Seriously, committed to winning. All right. You're committed to going 7-9 and squeaking in the playoffs. I like this notion that if Pat Bowlen was still the owner, he would be ashamed of us. We wouldn't be in this fucking position. I wouldn't have to come on this channel and say, oh, the Broncos need to do this, the Broncos need to do that, because Pat Bowlen would have done it already, you idiots.
Yeah.
God, man.
Yeah, I have to see.
We've got here actually covering good Bronco football if Pat Bowlen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, be fans again. Not trying to make it what it wants.
All that whole Elway that lurking around back there, his front office people, PR machine, none of that would even exist. We'd have a competent GM. Who knows what we'd have had with a head coach by
we would have a competent product on the field.
You know how I know LA's still there? Guess what they're looking at in the offseason already? There's free agent rumors going around. Edge rusher.
An edge guy. Let's go.
Man.
It'll win. All right.
How many? I thought Nick Burrito and Jonathan Cooper were it. I actually like Jonathan Cooper, disclaimer, but come on, man. That's how I know that LA stench is still there. Out of all the problems you see on this team, you're going after edges.
Okay, like I said, the ownership has to, if they're really going to be Pat Bowlen type owners, they're going to have to, all this PR that the front office is desperately hanging on to anything they can get. They have to ignore all that and say, look, because this is going to rear its head. It just is going to. There's no other way around it. It is what it is. It's going to rear its head. And that defense, they got to listen to Sean Payton. They need to get scouts that can get the Sean Payton people in. That offensive line needs work. I mean, there's no doubt about that. These kind of things got to get taken care of, or what are you doing? What are you doing? You're gonna be like the Bears and have that 4 years of that 9-8, 8-9, or whatever it is that. Yep. What did you accomplish? So,
I just don't understand people strive to be mediocre. It blows my mind. Like, they're happy that we're going to be 7-9, 9-8, whatever it is. I mean, my God, it just blows my mind. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But it just, you sit here and you watch I'm not going to give offense a pass, because when that third quarter hit, they went Shermer ball with it. And so, again,
what
here
happened?
we go. Sunday night.
When they went Shermer ball, you tell everybody what you saw in the film.
I watched the all-22 film.
This is not an opinion.
Yeah. Okay, you had Russell Wilson missing his reads because he can't read the field. You had Russell Wilson throwing behind his receivers. You had plays that were designed to go deep, not past the first down yard marker, or not to the first down yard marker. The protection, this is what I think. This protection, this offensive line for the Broncos is so dog shit. Eventually, there's going to be a team, whether it's the Vikings or the Browns, they're going to get home. I mean, it's just bound to happen. If you're going to go Shermer ball with it, they're going to get home. And it would not surprise me one bit if they kill Wilson. Because I think tonight is Sunday Night Football. It's prime-time football. They are going to want to unleash the hounds, and I think they're going to want to go Shermer ball. I just have that feeling that they're going to go Shermer.
That's another thing, too. When I said,
on the defense, run the ball.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. On a defense, you should run the ball on.
Yes, on a defense that is poor against the run.
So, and that's another reason why they need to clear out that front office. They do not need that. What are we already hearing, from what I look at this differently than maybe you guys do, but when I hear Elway's PR machine talking about, we need more 20-plus yard throws, take the top off. To me, that's how the front office, Elway's people over there, signal what they want. That all needs to get thrown out, because it obviously isn't the way to go.
Well, yeah, exactly. I don't understand people's logic when it comes to the game of football, just due to the fact that when you sit there and you watch the Broncos offense specifically, and you watch them for 2.5, maybe 3 quarters, 2.5, I'd say 2.5 quarters. You have the Broncos basically doing what we've been saying for the entire year, is you have a really good running back room, and you have an offensive line that is better moving forward, not lateral. And we've said that for months. And a guy that I'm very high on, and Bubbleman pointed him out, and we've pointed him out in our film breakdowns, is number 85. I think that guy, he was open on so many.
Oh, is that Greg Dulcich?
Yeah. How's that Travis Kelce-esque tight end doing right now? Oh yeah, that's right. He's sitting in the hot tub.
That guy 85 has some.
You know how much shit we got for that pick too? Chopped liver. You know how much shit we got for not liking that pick?
Oh yeah. Tell me about that.
You guys about that one too. Yeah, you guys say we don't know the game of football. My logic, I hate when people tell me that shit. It pisses me off.
Well, again, look at who it is that's saying it. Let me ask.
That is true. That's true.
Let me ask you this too. They paid Jack Kruger to come and do this Russell Wilson promotion thing.
Yeah, he's MVP.
Did he once discuss that Shermer ball third quarter at all?
No,
it was completely void from his. Now I laid a comment on there. Last I saw it was up there, but I don't know. He probably took it down. I just said, Sean Payton has made him serviceable, and the only reason why he's serviceable is because the ownership, to give the ownership credit for this, is not listening to the front office. They're listening to Sean Payton, and Sean Payton is not getting in front of himself. He's doing exactly what, we'd said that they needed to do, not because anything that Russell Wilson on his own is doing. Sean Payton's handcuffing himself. He's handcuffing Russell Wilson too, as he should be. And this whole take the top off the defense, that really has to be ignored. But you're right. We'll probably see it tonight because, and maybe Sean Payton says, okay. He says, they want that. Let's give them that because he knows what's going to happen.
Well, okay. You sit there. Is Russell Wilson worth the money that he's getting right now? Could you imagine if he was still on that 2-year contract?
I think we could have done just as well with Teddy, if not better with Teddy.
Again, that's the ineptitude I'm talking about. People think that he's playing like that big money contract. He's not. He's not. Watch the all-22 film. Stop watching the highlight reels and stop watching what you're sitting on your couch drinking your Coronas and watching it as a fan. Watch the all-22 film and you'll see a plethora of open receivers that Russell Wilson cannot see because he doesn't read the field.
No, and that's why I appeal to the ownership. I don't care what the fans have to say because their opinion doesn't mean anything.
I don't think the ownership knows what they're doing either.
But they pay
I'm not afraid to say it. They're inept. They're inept right now.
Well, I'll give them I can only say so much. I have to see I can only say what I've seen. We know that we're
seeing is them pushing out garbage. Oh, let's go get an edge rush. That's from the organization.
That's from the front office. That's from the front office.
Okay.
That's from the front office. Now, what I have seen from the ownership is they're listening to Sean Payton and they're cutting off the front office, and that's driving the front office crazy. I have to see this off season. I'm going to give them this off season to see it through.
What are they to do this off season? What money do they have this year?
I don't care about the money. There's only one thing I care about. You got to clear out those people that we said you got to clear out. If you don't do that, then
you'll do it.
Then Bucket Man is absolutely right. If you can't pull the trigger on the problem, if you can't pull the trigger, I'm talking to the owners, not the fans. If you can't pull the trigger on the problem, there's nothing to say. You're going to get everything you deserve. Everything you deserve. 8 years that they screwed everything up. I mean, I have fans from around the league saying, man, Sean Payton is at least getting the train pointed towards the track all those front office people, they've never seen anything like it. I'm talking to people around the league. And if the owners can't see that they need to flush that toilet, Bucket Man, you're right. If they can't do that, then you unleash on them because they deserve every bit of your tongue lashing.
What they need to do is they need to bring in up and coming scouts from Philadelphia or San Francisco,
Baltimore,
any of those. Yeah. But realistically, Philadelphia, because they have the seven defensive lines in the game of football, period. Like there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, this defense is horrific.
Whoever's scouting offensive linemen for Detroit, whoever's scouting offensive linemen for Philadelphia, whoever is scouting offensive linemen for the Ravens, you need to go. It doesn't fucking matter. You need to go and get him as a scout, as one of your scouts. As
far as offensive line scouts go, I'd go to the Saints. I would go. You got to go to somebody who's good in the power gap. I mean, that's what they run. You got to go somebody that matches the systems of the 49ers. They're West Coast. I'd get somebody who runs that power gap that's got their clue. Hell, get somebody from Kansas City. They scouted. They get rid of Elway's nephew first of all. If you want to get somebody who scouted, like I said, Kansas City brought in their guy, their pro scout brought those guys in. Aren't they power gap? Aren't they the power gap?
For a West Coast spread offense.
They run West Coast. I thought they ran power gap.
They're a West Coast spread offense. Kansas City is.
They look like power gap to me, but okay. But you're gonna have to get a power gap.
football, but their whole identity is the spread, West Coast spread concepts.
I thought spread is something separate from West Coast.
That's West Coast spread is basically when you spread teams out, when you have 4 to 5 wide.
I know what a spread is, but West Coast is a lot of pulling and stuff like that.
Their identity in what Andy Reid likes to run is that West Coast spread offense.
Okay, so name me teams that run power gap that are good. Power gap running teams.
Power gap running teams.
People
Baltimore.
who run power gap system.
Baltimore.
Okay, so get a Baltimore guy again.
Or Saints.
Yeah, Saints. Now I thought
Detroit does. Detroit runs a vertical power run game. That's what they run offensively over in Detroit. They're a vertical passing game, but they run a lot of power run concepts.
So
if you didn't watch the Charger game last week, I say go watch it. They were running it on 4th and 5 and getting them. They were going right up the middle against that Chargers defense, and they were doing a lot of power run concepts with a fullback in it.
Well, don't you think though that they should build off that power run?
Who, Detroit or Denver?
The Denver Broncos. Don't you think they should build off that power?
Yeah, but do you trust Sean Payton to do that? Because you said yourself that he's not a run-first coach.
But in Detroit, too. In New Orleans, that's what they ran. When Breeze was there, they ran that.
I have a film breakdown breaking that down. So if they're going to do that in Denver, they need to bring in the people that helped make that happen.
That's my point. Whoever
bring in the people that made it happen, then.
That's my point. That to me, for me, what I'm seeing, that's the most successful they've been, is in that running.
Can I bring this up too? If the Saints fire Dennis Allen, I have no problem going and get Dennis Allen as my defense coordinator. I think he's a hell of a defense coordinator, not a head coach. I think he's a good defense coordinator. You go bring in Dennis Allen as your defense coordinator who's familiar with what Sean Payton wants to run defensively. There you go. Then you go, hypothetically, you go bring in a Jeff Ireland as your front office GM. Then you help him go get the scouts that he wants that fit your system offensively and defensively. That's exactly what you need to fucking do this offseason. If you're going to go out and get a San Francisco 49ers upcoming GM, then you're fucking up. If you're going to go get Adam Peters, you're fucking it up. Because Adam Peters is so used to the West Coast zone run principles that he's not familiar with the power run principles. You need to go get Jeff Ireland. That's the only person I see that you need to go get, unless you're going to go get somebody from Detroit who is familiar with the power running game and or somebody from Baltimore. I don't care. You need to go get Jeff Ireland. That is my number one guy right now. And let him bring in the scouts that he wants.
I got a film breakdown suggestion for you. You should do a film breakdown on West Coast zone system versus West Coast spread system.
Okay.
If you can, sometime show what those concepts are.
Okay. We'll do.
They're diametrically different, aren't they?
Yes, because in this, the West Coast zone run principles are a lot of, Bubbleman could probably attest to this. They run a lot of 12 personnel. The West Coast zone run, it's a lot of 2 tight end sets, 2 wide receivers. The spread concepts is a lot of 3 to 5 wide receiver sets. They spread out the defense. The West Coast zone run principles are a little bit more condensed.
I'm looking at having you do this from an offensive line point of view.
Oh, you could if you're running a West Coast zone run, you can see that those offensive linemen are agile. Go look at San Francisco. Their offensive line is an agile offensive line. That's why
that zone.
That's why I never understood the Mike McGlinchey move, because he's an agile offensive lineman. He's not a power gap. He's not a Ryan Ramczyk for the Saints. That's where I was confused about the whole move. Is you went out and got a guy that has been in a West Coast zone running system his whole entire career, and now you're expecting him to be a pass blocking right tackle when that wasn't his strength. His strength was getting to the second level with his agile ability, but you're expecting him to be Ryan Rand. That's the problem I have with this whole fucking thing.
So, and then this translates back to that that front office that's been there for 8 years, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So anyway, you want to go and get into Minnesota?
Go ahead, Bubble Man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really I'm done predicting what's gonna happen in the games because, we can sit here till we're blue in the face and say, this is why Minnesota, based on the film, should beat the Broncos, based on player personnel versus player personnel, should beat the Broncos. But every time we say this, they go and do the complete opposite of what we see on film, which is why we get so pissed off, is because they look like a completely different team every time they play the Broncos. So, realistically, I think the Broncos should win this game. But if the NFL is going to the NFL and they're going to turn the ball over and they're going to shoot themselves in the foot, they're going to, they have a team that they should be running on the edges with. They have a team that they should be hitting the tight end across the middle of the field with. They should definitely be using Justin Jefferson on those 10 to 5 yard routes every time. On Patrick Surtain, since you guys want to talk about Patrick Surtain, you should definitely be using Justin Jefferson on those short and quick routes, those 5 to 8 yard routes. You should definitely be attacking the edges. Like I said, you're going to probably see him run it up the middle. You probably see him do some stupid quarterback draw bullshit, which I've been seeing out of teams for the last few weeks. Fucking stupid plays, trickery, BS. You're going to see him try and maybe attack Patrick Surtain deep, which is what you shouldn't do. That's what you're going to see. You're not going to see what works, is probably my prediction. I'm going to predict that teams will watch the film. This is how you beat the Broncos, then they'll go do the opposite. That's what I'm predicting, because that's all I've seen this year. With an exception of the Miami game. They did what worked for 4 quarters straight, and what happened.
Well,
so, I can't say. I mean, realistically, player for player, scheme for scheme, Vikings should win. But it's all about what they actually do when they take the field. If we were the runs running the offense for the Vikings, they should have it'd be a 40. But we're not running the offense.
Well, here's where the counter argument comes in with the whole Vikings situation that you brought up, Bubble Man. Minnesota runs that West Coast zone run offensively. Defensively, Brian Flores is the defense coordinator. Now, in my personal opinion, I think this Vikings defense is going to want to prove something, especially Brian Flores. I think he has something against the Broncos because of what happened with Elway during that whole head coaching process. I think he still has a bone to pick with the Broncos. Wade Phillips is going to be in the building tonight, folks. I don't know if you heard about that either, because he's going to support his son, who's the offense coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. I want to say that the Vikings are going to come in here and not fuck around. Again, people are calling Josh Dobbs, he's a rookie quarterback. I don't know what the fuck you're smoking, because he's been in the league for a while. And Josh Dobbs, to me, this is where this game is different from the past 2 games. You don't have this quarterback making a bunch of millions of dollars. This is a quarterback that's barely making anything. And we've seen the simplistic side of this Vikings offense ever since Josh Dobbs came in with this Vikings offense. You see them running a lot more bootleg passes. You see them trying to go to the tight end more, TJ Hawkinson. Justin Jefferson, I think, is going to – if Justin Jefferson's given the opportunity, you attack Justin Simmons' side. You do the play action. You attack his side of the field at will. That's what you need to fucking do. And then with Patrick Surtain, again, everybody want to say, he's going to lock down Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson, when he's healthy, is the best receiver in the league. I don't care what people say. He's the best route running receiver in the league. And what does Patrick Surtain struggle with? Elite route runners. Elite route runners. I want to put an asterisk next to that. An elite route runner. And we've seen that over the past couple of years since Surtain's been in the NFL. If I'm the Minnesota Vikings, I run that fucking football. And then you know what you do? You do play action, you attack the middle of that defense at fucking will, and you pass in those soft zones. You designed a lot of crossing routes, play action passes that are designed for those soft zones that we've seen over the past few weeks. I just think, in my personal opinion, I'm not going to try and predict, but what I can see happen tonight is I see the Broncos completely abandoning what has been working because it's Sunday Night Football and they want to go Shermer ball. Number 2, I think with this Vikings team, from what I've seen from the All-22, the coaches film, this is not a team that turns it over hops it up like a, whatever. This isn't a football team when the Vikings that turns it over. So again, we could see a completely different team against the Vikings tonight. I don't know. I just have a feeling that this Broncos team is going to want to go Shermer ball because it's on Sunday Night Football. They want to go for the ratings.
I think the players are getting arrogant because of these 2 wins, and I think they're gonna. I think in the trenches they're gonna get punched in the mouth on both sides of the ball.
Oh yeah.
By the way, Brian Flores is a hell of a coach, and the Broncos really fucked up on that one. I like Brian Flores as a coach. I like his attitude. I like what he did in Miami when he was there. But yeah, that's a typical LA move. Coming to the interview.
Well, Kevin O'Connell, he comes from the Sean McVay tree. So Sean McVay, has had great success against the Broncos. So I wonder if Kevin O'Connell gave Sean McVay a call. Hey, what'd you do last year on Christmas Day against this Broncos defense? That was a phone call he made to Sean McVay.
Hey, if he had to make that call of what to do against the Broncos defense, he should be fired on the spot.
Yeah, true. That is true. That is true.
Right? Hey, we're not even the head coaches in the NFL, and we know what to do against this Bronco defense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I also think you're right in the sense that it's Josh Dobbs' third game with this team, so they're not going to be able to experiment. They have to play a simplistic.
Again, Josh Dobbs. When I watched the All-22 film, I know Chad Deliver is dying to say something, so I'll say this. Josh Dobbs. I look at the All-22 film. He doesn't look for that deep shot down the field consistently like you saw with Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. You don't see that with Josh Dobbs. Josh Dobbs likes to throw to his tight ends, and he likes to throw in those soft zones that the defense gives him. So we're going to see tonight. We're going to see.
Okay, before we end this, I'm going to talk about Minnesota, but before, I just want to make a reminder here. I want to make sure we talk about Marvin Mims later on here. I'm just saying that because before I forget. There's something important with that. Also, maybe we'll talk about that pass interference that never should have been called. But what I saw, now I only got to watch 5 series of the Vikings. I'll tell you what I didn't like. What I didn't like coming from them was they have a very good offensive line in pass protection. The Denver, yes, they do.
Not interior. I disagree.
That I guarantee the Broncos are going to get, because if the Saints can't get to him, now I saw 5 series. The Saints weren't even coming close to getting to him. And I'm talking about pass pro. This is what I saw. The Saints didn't even come close. And if the Saints couldn't come close, I can guarantee you the Broncos aren't going to do it. I can guarantee that Dobbs will have 3.5 to 4 seconds guaranteed. Guaranteed. Now, for the 5 plays I saw, what I didn't like was they were, and all due respect to Wade Phillips' son, they were running to the cones. They were running to the pylons with their receivers, and I didn't like it. They would run to the DBs, and New Orleans was playing that soft crap too. What I saw was playing that soft crap too, and these receivers were running right to the DBs. So what Dobbs would have to do is, and he had time, he had plenty of time, because those routes were crap. He had to go on the run and make something happen. I didn't like that. I would like to see more of what you guys were talking. I would like to see what the Saints were doing with Carr, more of that. I would like to see them not running go routes to open up the shorter routes. I would like to see those crossers, all the things you talked about. I would like to see more of that. I don't want to see receivers running to the pylons and then your quarterback's just like having to scramble out of that. I saw that repeatedly. I know you want to say something. I saw that repeatedly, and then he would have to bail out and either run with the ball, or he would have to, wait for somebody to get open. I don't want to see when they did do the shorter routes, it was successful. When they did the quick throws, it was successful. I don't want to see them going their own version of Shermer ball. I just don't want to see that. Defensively, I think this is something, I don't know, with the Broncos offensive line, that's, are the Broncos going to come out? Are they going to come out, doing what they did against the Chiefs and the Bills? Big question. Or are they going to play front office ball, John Elway ball? Big question. That'll determine a lot of things, I think if the Broncos can do what they did stick to what was working in the last 2 games, I think they can have success against that defense. But you don't know who's going to show up at these games. You just don't. Go ahead, Bucket Man.
Well, so Justin Jefferson into play in that game against the Saints. And the reason I say that is because he's the ultimate Swiss Army knife. And the reason I say he's the ultimate Swiss Army knife is because he's the Batman for that offense. He takes a lot of pressure off of those other receivers in that offense coordinator because Justin Jefferson draws a lot of attention because he's just that good. He's just that damn good. Now that Justin Jefferson, he wanted to play in this game tonight. So I think this Viking team wants to come out and prove something. If that's what I'm hearing from Justin Jefferson, what do you think the whole team's talking about? What do you think the coaches are talking about? What do you think Brian Flores is talking about? I mean, when you watch those series, Chops Liver, you saw something with that Vikings pass rush that I think can get home against this Broncos defense, because when we saw what we saw against that Saints offensive line, the Saints offensive line is no joke, and that pass rush was getting home on Carr. That they were getting home on Carr. They got Danielle Hunter. They got Harrison Phillips, who's a zero-tech clog eater. They have a good depth on that front 7. The problem is they're a poor run defense. If the Broncos are going to come out, Shermer ball, throwing it through the sticks, that's gonna favor the Vikings. But if you're going to come out and what we've seen, those heavy personnel, Quinn Bailey, Manhurts, the 3 tight ends, the fullback, you're going to run it up the middle. You're going to continue to run, play action pass to Sutton, Mims, whatever you want to do. There you go. That's how you do it. But if you're going to come out 3 to 4 to 5 wide receiver sets, thinking that you're the second coming of the greatest show on turf this game on Sunday Night Football, then you're going to lose this game. Because if the Broncos are going to do that offensively, there's no hope on this game tonight. I just don't see it happening. Because that defense, I think this defense with Justin Jefferson in the game and the Vikings, they're committed to running the football too with Alexander Mattison. And they have that running back that you liked, Chops Liver, that you talked about last year, that rookie out of like Iowa State or something who has a lot of speed. There you go. I think that they're going to kill the Broncos defensively. I can see it happening. This is the game because they do not turn it over a whole bunch. But again, I'm not going to predict it because I don't know what Vikings team we're going to get tonight.
Well, I think you have a good point with your asterisk. You're talking an offensive passing scheme without Jefferson. You put Jefferson in there, then maybe you can dial.
He's just good. He's just that good.
You can dial plays with your other receivers and tight ends.
He was clamoring again. He was clamoring and he wanted to play this game tonight. I mean, what do you think the whole again? If that's what Justin Jefferson's thinking, what do you think the other players are thinking? And I like Josh Dobbs. I think Josh Dobbs he could be the next Teddy Bridgewater if he wanted to.
Well, he's a good. You need a good backup. What is? Let me ask you this: What is Denver Broncos defense? It's a defense begging
to be thrown on.
It's begging. Josh Dobbs, to me, he doesn't have the velocity of the last 2 guys, Mahomes and the other. You fuck up, but. What he has like Brady arm strength, and he has Teddy Bridge. If there's a guy open, he's not going to hesitate.
And what did we say last game, Chops Liver? If you had an Alex Smith or a Teddy Bridgewater with the Bills in that game, they would have ate up this Broncos defense. You're getting that tonight. Now it's whether of what Vikings offense are we going to get tonight. If you're going to play like you did against the Saints, you're screwed. But if you're going to come out and you're going to do we're going to attack those soft zones, Justin Jefferson's going to be a decoy, and then we could and if we continue to run that football on the edges, I'd attack the edges in this game. When Burrito and them are in, attack them. Attack them, attack them, attack them.
I saw them running to the edges against the Saints, yeah.
Because they're a zone running scheme. They're not a power run scheme.
Yes.
They're zone running, and they have the running backs that fit that, and they have the tackles that can get out. Christian Darrisaw from Virginia Tech. You remember him, folks? I wanted him. Look how good he's playing. He's a left tackle for the Saints. Brian O'Neill is he's one of the top right tackles in the league. The interior, they have Dalton Reisner. You don't think Dalton Reisner is going to want to come out and prove something against the Broncos this game? Again, I'm not a big Dalton Reisner fan. Garrett Bradbury is an agile center. I just don't think the interior of the Vikings is that good. That's my opinion. Go ahead.
I still believe they're going to get that 3.5 to 4 second.
Yeah. I don't trust his pass rush. No. Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah. So I want to go ahead. I'm sorry, Bowman. Go ahead.
I think the Broncos should lose this game, but again, I don't want to predict anything because we see what you should do and then they don't do it. So that's what we've been seeing all year, with an exception of the Dolphins game. But the Dolphins for 4 quarters ran that ball against on the edges, picked up 10 to 15 yards of play. The Broncos had no answer for it. Realistically, that's how you beat the biggest weakness, the safety.
Last week they had no answer either way.
Well, what about the Packers game? The Packers game too. They weren't turning the ball over well, and what were they doing to the Broncos?
Driving right down the field. Going right down the field, and it only took a holding call and a critical. That's 2 games now where in critical situations that flag came in. So
that's them bailing out the Broncos.
Yeah. If you attack the edges, that's the safest thing you should be doing. Tire them out and control the clock. And then you can open up the play action down the field, and especially in the middle of the field. Those linebackers aren't covering anybody. They're not covering anybody out there. So run literally any game plan against the Broncos. Attack the edges, play action across the middle. They'll have no answers for it. So there you go. That's all.
Attack Justin Simmons. You realize Justin Simmons would have had 2 touchdowns on him if that Davis would have caught that ball. That would have been a guaranteed touchdown. It would have been 2 on him.
Yeah.
Player of the week, defensive player.
They scored. Well, that was Justin Simmons' fault. He wasn't helping over the top again.
Well, that was his man. He had that guy. Then I showed you a play where he gets burned on a. Josh Allen can't hit the side of a barn. The guy was wide open because Simmons is playing so bad, so far off. So I want to talk about Marvin Mims just really quick, and I want to relate it to politics in the NFL. Why aren't they putting Marvin Mims in a situation where he can use that separation speed that he has to make those 20 take the top off the defense? My theory is the reason they won't let him do that anymore, it makes Sutton and Judy look like the receivers they actually are in their roles that they are. They don't want him shining. That's just that's what I'm getting out of this. Why are you having this? And I understand my Saints people tell me that end around garbage is something that Sean Payton likes to do, but still, I understand. Okay, you throw one of those plays out there, but why aren't you? Well, I guess you said that they actually have used Mims out there, but Wilson didn't see him.
Yep. They've used him, but again, what have we said about guys like Tyreek Cleveland, Trinity Benson, people of the past, Khalif Raymond?
Good night. It's nice for your services. Bye-bye.
Don't want them looking better than Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton. That's just the facts.
Politics going on. That's another problem.
That organization, and I swear to God, the ownership better get rid of that shit in the offseason. If not, they're going to get the tug lashing from the fucking bucket man.
Yeah. Shit.
They're going to. They're already talking about looking at defensive ends in the offseason. Like, come on, man.
I'm hoping there's a voice of reason behind closed doors on that. I hope there's a voice of reason behind closed doors.
I
How
hope.
many years have they had to get that right? How many years now have they had to get that right? How many?
Every win decreases the likelihood of that happening, though. Like,
why are they talking about edges when they said that Nick Burrito is going to take this massive step now that Gregory's gone?
Well, what about Baron Browning? Wasn't there a whole propaganda film?
Yeah, look at Baron Browning. He ain't doing shit on the edge.
Von Miller?
Yeah. So why are we keep talking about the edge? Like I said, what has to happen that whole front office from 8 years, everybody there had to go. And then I'm just saying what has to happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying what has to happen.
I don't understand why we continue to put ourselves through this bullshit. I mean, my God, man. It's just like, it's a never ending thing with this team. It never ends. Oh my God. Man, God, we're going to play on Sunday Night Football. Our team's 4-5. We beat two of the best teams in the NFL, supposedly.
No, they
We're
beat themselves. Those two teams beat themselves.
That's why it's asterisk, supposedly.
Yeah. Those two teams beat themselves. I mean, that's just the bottom line. If Minnesota can actually decide that they're not going to turn the ball over and help the Broncos every way to Sunday, that's going to be a different type of a game than they've been playing for the last two games.
And again, if the Vikings come out and fucking not play to their identity and play this bullshit ball, I'm going to go in on the Vikings again, because this is the Vikings should have no problem against this Broncos team tonight. They have the better player personnel. They have just facts. They have the better player personnel. It's just facts. They should beat this team tonight.
But will they? That's the question.
And if they don't, I'm going in on the Vikings.
And for this Bronco team, what they have to do is do what they were offensively. I think they're screwed defensively, but offensively they need to do what they've been doing for the last two games, maybe 3 games, I guess. Maybe if you go back there,
but can they do it for a full 4 quarters? That's the question. I don't think they will. I just don't think they will. It's Sunday Night Football. They're going to want to go Sherman ball.
Well, and that could get them in a big bind early on. That they may not be able to get out of, because I just don't think that if they got behind and the team is up on them, I just don't think they're built for a shootout. I just don't see them that way.
No.
I mean, if all things aside, I think, you guys can disagree with this. If they had a completely different defense and they were more like a Baltimore Raven defense, if they actually had a Baltimore Raven type I'm just using that, as an example. You could say San Francisco or something, or they had one of these top defenses, a real top defense, not a pretend one. With the offense that they have right now, they probably could be a playoff team, a legitimate play. I don't know if I'd go Super Bowl, but they would definitely be a playoff team if they had that. But with this defense, it's they're.
Yeah. How long have we been talking about hypotheticals for 8 years?
I know.
It's never fucking ends. It's hypothetical.
If I win the
right,
you know what I mean? Hypothetically, if I win
my point is that the defense be revamped. The defense.
We can hope, but they're already talking about going after edge guys and.
Okay, ownership.
It's quarterback, bro.
Sean Payton,
drafting Caleb.
Sean Payton, you got to talk these owners off the ledge with that front office. It's been there for 8 years. They got to go. I mean,
if I'm planting drugs in their offices and be like, look, ownership, look what's in here, and getting them out of there that way. I mean, this ownership is.
Well, I think their bad decisions should be getting them out the door.
Oh, but
we're talking edges again.
Yeah, we're already talking about edges in the season.
So out of one, let me get this. Let me get this right. So out of one side of their mouth, they're promoting Nick Burrito and Baron Brown, and then out of the other side of the mouth, they're already wanting to go get edges.
And the edge rusher they want to go after is the guy they're going to be facing tonight, Hunter from the Minnesota Vikings. I mean,
why?
You ready for those holding calls? You ready? Those holding calls, Mike McGlinchey, and but hypothetically, it's not going to happen.
I'm ready to see those WWE styles.
Oh yeah, it's going to happen.
So let's talk about that INT. Speaking of refs, let's talk about the INT. I just recently showed you a film clip, and I showed you a still picture of a Saints not looking and going through with his hands, going through a Viking, no call at all. And that's technically a pass interference. That was long before the ball even got there. But with the Broncos, and it's not just the Broncos. This has been, I'm just going to say this because this has been my pet peeve for 20 years, going way back to early Brady bailouts, when Brady's early career where they were bailing him out left and right. The NFL just loves their PIs. They just love dictating these PIs. And I just get sick and tired of they're tarnishing the product. You didn't see this back in the day. You just didn't see this kind of nonsense. Not as habitual as it is.
Is it the refs tarnishing the product, or is the NFL itself tarnishing their own selves?
It's the NFL tarnishing itself, because you shouldn't allow quarterbacks, and Russell Wilson isn't alone in this. This isn't strictly a Bronco thing. You can't bail out quarterback. I want my quarterback to be forced to make that throw in stride. That should have went to Jerry. Jerry Jeudy beat his guy. Give him credit for that. That throw should have been on target. There would have been no questions. There should be no flags, no help. My argument is that ball should have been thrown in stride, and that would have been a touchdown. It would have been great. But what you do is you encourage quarterbacks you even hear people say, "Oh yeah, the offensive coordinator is great. He drew up a play that drew a flag." Well, I want him to hit the guy in stride. I don't care, but I don't want a flag. I want to see him score that touchdown on a throw. But Russell Wilson, in this case, was Russell Wilson, underthrows the football, and he gets rewarded by a flag. That just shouldn't be. The defender turned his head. He's automatically. I mean, the ball is already a jump ball. The ball is already a punt. And the receiver before turns his head because Jerry Jeudy has to slow down. So immediately the DB turns his head. He's automatically a receiver. He has every right to the ball, and any contact's incidental, especially since the guy had to slow down, Jeudy. It just, and I've seen that so many times, and this bailing out. There's no flag. It's a no flag. Do not help make these quarterbacks have to make those throws. Let's see a quality product out there. That's really it's less about bailing the Broncos out, and it's more about, I want to see the quarterback make that throw. Stop bailing all these quarterbacks out when they make stupid throws. It's a pet peeve. It's just a pet peeve of mine. I'm sorry. And I've been through it as long as you guys been alive.
The last great game I've watched, the last great football game I watched was the 2012 divisional round with the Ravens and the Broncos. That was the last good quality football game I've seen where you could actually play deep. I mean, that was a game where they let the teams play, and now it's PI calls and holding calls in crucial moments, and even at the Super Bowl last year, you get a great game, and then the referee throws that laundry on the field, and in the biggest stage, the brightest stage, I would have rather seen the Eagles get the ball back and see football game and less referee. But I mean, that's what you get now,
Well, I mean, if you're going to make a call, make sure it's a good call. Don't do it to bail somebody out. That's just
the NFL shows their hand every year. Every year they show their hand with this stuff.
Yeah, it's a bad product. It's a bad look. The optics are bad and great. And again, oh, you just didn't win the Broncos, but okay, Bronco fans, but if had that been the Bills and they won the game over a bogus, you guys would be all over it. Oh my God. And that's what I'm saying. Let's just end it all.
Yeah. Remember that 2-point conversion against the Redskins? They were throwing a huge fit over that. So I don't want to hear any of that shit. Yeah. I want the players play football again. That's what I want to see. I want to see because football is a physical game, right? So I want to see a physical football game. Especially like defensive backs can't do anything. I mean, I would hate to be a DB in this generation.
Well, they don't even play the position correctly anymore. Like Bucket Man says, they got them playing 10 yards off on a first down, and
you can't touch the receiver. I like corners who get right up in their face and jam them at the line of scrimmage and get physical with the receiver. You don't see that
anymore. You don't see that anymore. Or very rare.
Chris Harris Jr. and Aqib Talib, those are my favorite types of corners because they're very physical. They get right up in your face and they run with you stride for stride, and they're all over. Chris Harris Jr. would be getting, in today's NFL, Chris Harris Jr. would be flagged almost every play. because of how physical he played that position.
Well,
I mean,
they gotta curb it. The NFL's
need to let defense play defense again. I mean, that's the problem with the NFL. What's the point of having a defense when all the rules cater to the fucking offense, and you don't have any right to the football? You can't be physical at your position. You get flagged for every little thing. And
well, I will say though, outside of the 5 yards, and do you guys even know where the 5 yard penalty even came from? Did you have any clue where that came from?
No idea.
That's the Mel Blount rule. Because Mel Blount got physical with everybody out there. And that's the way you played it. The receivers had to be able to be a receiver with all that contact.
Which is why I don't think these receivers today cut the mustard compared to
with the Mel Blount rule, they don't.
Yeah.
But with the Mel Blount rule, that 5 yard, which you don't see anymore, you shouldn't need to touch you should never have to touch a receiver, because you as a corner should be playing it as you are the receiver. You're playing the quarterback is what you're playing. You're keeping the receiver in peripheral. He's just a guide is all he is. He's just a homing device.
My is you smash him at the line of scrimmage and prevent.
Well, I said outside of outside. What I'm talking about is out behind that.
Yeah,
you should need to touch them. You should be playing the ball, but they don't do that anymore. They don't teach them how to do that anymore. You don't get the great corners of yesteryear. You had, for instance, Champ Bailey, who could do it all. He could do zone when zone was proper, when it was proper to do a zone type of, but he didn't play soft zone. He played proper zone. He knew how to play man when it was time to be man. And that was just standard before his time, that corners could do that. They could play, this zone type of when it was time. Then they could man up when it was time. And that's kind of what Chris Harris Jr. was probably the last of that kind of, type of a corner. So
developed under Champ Bailey.
Yeah, there's no development anymore with yeah, we're playing real estate agent now.
You're giving up 15, 5 yards, 10 yards. You're playing 10 yards back minimum per play. It's fucking stupid.
You don't have to play that way. You don't have to play that way. You don't have to play that way. But that's anything they're learning in middle school, high school, college. If they're learning that, gets thrown out. I just don't understand it.
I'm telling you right now, none of these receivers these days would stand a chance against a Chris Harris Jr. and Aqib Talib or a Champ Bailey. No, or let's Brandon Browner or Richard Sherman in his day too. Like no one would be able to play against those kind of guys. Darrelle Revis, no, they wouldn't stand if they were able to play to the rule set that they played under. Not a chance. What do
you think they would do with Mel Blount? They'd be shaking.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Chris Harris Jr. would be getting PI'd every play if he played in today's NFL. Yeah. So I mean,
Louis Wright.
Yep. I love the play that the Broncos got called for pass interference against the Raiders. That was a great damn play by that corner on that slant route, but he gets called for PI because he can't touch the receivers. So it's a bad product. Bring football back. That's all I'm going to say there.
But you got Surtain hugging people.
Yeah, he doesn't get called for it, but NFL politics for you.
Yeah, well, anyway, here we go. Here we are. We don't know what we're going to get, what we're going to see. Who's coming with either team? I don't know who's going to come out. How it's just one thing the film has told me is that when it comes to the time to play the Broncos, we don't know which team, either team is going to come out. It's
ridiculous.
Yeah. Now, disclaimer, I didn't look at Vikings. What would have been, if I had time, what would really be interesting is to see how the Vikings played, although it would have been the other quarterback with Justin Jefferson in there and see the route running and stuff like that. I just don't have the time, and I don't get paid to look at it. And I wish I could, because I could give a better analysis, because I think Bucket Man was right. I think maybe if Jefferson's in there, that may dictate how the other receivers will behave. But it doesn't seem like the body language coming from the Vikings isn't like we're going to be those guys coming into town. That seems to be the body language, what's going on, but
we'll see.
we'll have to see.
Hey, Bucket,
what Bronco is it? The front office Broncos we're going to see, or we're going to see Sean Payton's Bronco? And
yeah,
offensively, that's what we're going to have to see. So, all right, guys, anything else?
No.
We're all set.
I think we covered it all. Okay, let's go out and get shit done.
Yeah, let's go out for a deal.
That's
All
not.
Right. Hey, I got someone who owes me money. You know what I mean? Someone owes me some money.
Oh, they talk about it all the time. They talk about me constantly. They constantly talk about me all the time. They're always talking about me.
Hey, he owes me $70, but I got 2 9s right here. Like I got the 18.
Nothing speaks louder than culture, right?
Yep, that's culture we live.
That's the culture. Hey, I got my wife over here. We're about to, get that $70. Hey, he owes me $70. You know what I mean?
For that fen, for all that fen.
For all that fen.
That's why we take people like you off the street, buddy. Why we take people like you off the street to protect society, dude.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Do you know?
Do you not know society doesn't like to be around people like you who are like?
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
Hey,
get off my YouTube. Get off my
10 push-ups. You know what I mean? Got to do it.
Yeah.
10 push-ups.
I've had enough already. So
have your crackhead wife video that, okay?
I've had enough. I want to know who that is. So
I know Bubbles, but she smokes the bubble. I mean, she's all, Nah, I
don't want to know. I don't want to know. They don't. These are zeros to me. Just zeros.
I mean, all the things I could say on the street, man. I mean, I could go down the road, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah. I don't know these. I don't know those. I don't want to know. Yep. Don't want. I'll see you later, Tater.
Later.